Door weekend. Thank God, Kachi and Walali is back. I was here all alone, bored, sad, and so unhappy. They left me last weekend to do the sporting show all by myself, but they are back. I'm glad. I'm forgiving you guys. My name is still Adija Adebowale, and it's still the best and number one sporting show on radio and of course on YouTube. Is News Instant Star Sport. Hearing on a band radio school, of course, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I got the gang with me today, not the full gang, anyways, but I have Oracle Kachi with me and I have Olawale with me. Kachi, you want to introduce yourself first?
Sports fans, big compliments of the season. Wishing those of you who care about it a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. Lewis Hamilton deleting all the contact on following everybody. Is it beginning to unravel? A lot of stuff also happening in NBA. Stay tuned as we discuss all this.
Olawale.
Yeah, compliment of the season, sporting fans around the world. Apologies on behalf of the whole crew last week for that a blackout, because that was a blackout last week. Interesting weekend in England, Boxing Day games. Arsenal looking very unstoppable now, especially the young guy Cosmith Rowe. There's something I think he has added to this game. Welcome to the show once again.
All right, perfect. Kachi, I'm gonna start with you. I just see you have to start with this Hamilton. And next time when you want to mention his name, don't forget to add the sound to it.
We'll do so.
Why do you have to attack him? It was plainly robbed. It was a robbery. There's no argument about it, honestly, if you ask me.
I
So
agree that it was a robbery. I saw an analogy where someone said, please explain what happened in Abu Dhabi using football terms. And someone replied that Lewis Hamilton was leading 3-0. All of a sudden, in the 89th minute, the referee said, next team to score wins. And Max Verstappen scored and won the game. It definitely was what it was. It did make the race very interesting. And even 2 weeks after, there's still a lot of conversations about what happened there. But with him unfollowing everyone, his younger brother came out to say, Lewis is fine, he's doing well, he's just trying to process whether he wants to continue. Lewis himself was the one that told Mercedes to withdraw their appeal because he does not want to win his 8th title in the court of arbitration. So let's hope and pray that come March 2022, Lewis will be ready to take the fight to the current and reigning champion, Max Verstappen.
all right.
Actually, so Debo, before you leave this topic, I've always, before this last incident that happened in Abu Dhabi, I've always had issues with when there is when there's an accident during a race and a safety car is introduced. Like I always like, okay, how do you reintroduce that gap that now, as at the time this accident occurs, somebody is leading this person by 15 seconds, is leading the third person by, how do you ensure that seconds is maintained? And again, it takes time again before probably that will probably apply to everybody before you gain your momentum. But my own concern has always been, which I've not probably done any research on, like how do you ensure that everybody maintains their position, or this person at least to ensure that there is no advantage to somebody or disadvantage to another person. That, okay, if you are leading by 15 points, that 15 points gap is there, or let me see the distance. If you are leading this person by so meters, before you start the race again, you have to make sure that 20 meters that you were leading before is maintained.
And it's a very interesting take, Wale, but in the history of Formula One, any accident or what they call a yellow flag has automatically been deemed a race leveler. It was not something that was recently introduced. It's always been there, that if there's an on-race crash, then everybody pretty much starts on an even keel. The only thing that happens is that racers cannot overtake each other until the race is cleared to recommence or to commence again. The only thing that the FIA got wrong here, and which is what a lot of people were arguing, was that the FIA on their own notified the teams that there will be no overtaking. They call it overtaking, whereas teams, cars that have been lapped already by the front runners will get to go in front of the safety car so that when race begins, they can immediately get their distance from the rest of the team. If that had been, if they had already told, or if they had told the other cars that there will be that overlapping, Lewis would have automatically pitted for fresher tires, right? But they told those guys that there will be no overlapping, meaning that all cars must be in front of or must be behind the safety car. And that was what cost Lewis primarily that race, because towards the end of the safety car, they changed the position. The FIA changed their position. So to come back to your argument that how do you do that? I think part of what makes Formula One interesting is that when there's a crash, everybody resets. The only thing is, if I was first when there was a crash, I remained first, right? But the gap itself, it's eliminated. It's eliminated. Wow. So that was not contentious. Everybody knew that was going to happen. The only thing was, they said because no cars were going to overlap the safety cars, if Lewis had pitted, anywhere Lewis came out was where he would start the race, even though he was first. And that was why Lewis did not come in for fresher tires. And that's why everybody feels and agrees that Lewis was wrong. Because it's the first time, and I've been following Formula One for over a decade, it's the first time I would hear from FIA say no overlap, no overlapping. And then at the very last minute, come out to say, okay, overlap. We want the very last race to be a natural race. Because when Toto Wolff, the president of Mercedes, complained that, why are you guys changing the rules?
I think I saw his reaction.
And they told him, they said, come on, this is a race. Let them race. And I thought that smelled of so much conspiracy that even if there was no conspiracy, the FIA did not paint themselves in really good light. I hope they use these last 3-4 months before the new season starts to agree. You know, it's similar to what we will discuss when we get to football. Agree on a policy and follow the policy to the latter. Don't change it mid-race. But things like this happen so that we can make the sport better. Lewis will eventually win his eighth championship. It may not be next year. It may be 2 years' time. But whatever happens, the neutrals such as us, we got to enjoy an amazing Formula One race. Because if not so, people like my wife, who got tired of Lewis winning all the time, would not have sat down to watch the Abu Dhabi race. Based on the statistics they got 4 times more viewers on the last race of the season, just because of how tight it was, than they got throughout the entire Formula One season this year. So it's a capitalist world, and the FIA needed to make money, my opinion.
All right. Okay. All right, perfect. And of course, joining to the NBA right now, Lebron actually broke the Christmas number of points previously held by the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. But of course, it's last 5 games they've lost everything, so it's really of no how do I put it? Of no importance. Exactly. Thank you for rescuing me. It's basically not of much importance. But Olali, I'm going to come to you. Is it about time that we call out Russ Westbrook right now? Since he came to the Lakers, looks like he has not added anything to that team. That's my opinion of it. He fumbles the ball. He could not attack the paint the way he should. He cannot flank. Even when LeBron is playing as a center, he cannot flank him or provide the assist perfectly. It makes a whole lot of mistakes. Looks like he is a mistake on the early Lakers part. That's my own opinion, but I want to sample yours on this.
Like Kachi said during the pre-recording, I think the Lakers issues is getting boring. The issue about calling out Russell Westbrook, I don't think it's something we have to discuss, because actually a lot of people who are very knowledgeable about basketball, that they've actually questioned how this is going to work. Because Russell Westbrook will always be Russell Westbrook. We will always do Russell Westbrook thing. He's a triple double machine guy, and decision making is very very poor. Is is not is that is an average. Let me say he's not a good shooter. He's a below average shooter, and in the last few years, I think it's getting worse. Shot selection is always bad. I think about Russell Westbrook is all about decision making, but the Lakers' problem is beyond goes beyond Russell Westbrook. You have to look at the front office. You have to look at LeBron. The team is actually very old, and that is why they find it hard to defend. If you watch yesterday's game against the Nets, it was a game of 4 quarters. The Nets were spectacular in the first quarter and the third quarter. The Lakers were very good in the second and the fourth. And when it looked like they leveled the game, Russell Westbrook, this is what it comes to: crunch time, making that good decision. And that's the one thing people love LeBron for sometimes, is decision making in crunch time like this. And this has always been the problem of Russell Westbrook, which they are aware of before doing the trade. So you can't bring Russell Westbrook in now and start complaining. You have to look at yourself in the face. The Rob Palinka, even LeBron himself, because LeBron actually signed up on that trade when there was a demand DeRozan and Buddy Hield there for them to acquire at a cheaper rate without giving away all those assets they gave away to the Washington Wizards. So it's a Lakers problem. It's a LeBron problem. I don't think it's a Russell Westbrook problem, because the Russell Westbrook problem is there for everybody to see. That was the reason why KD left him in 2016?
16, yeah.
Because can you imagine Russell Westbrook taking more shots in crunch time than a Kevin Durant? It is not possible. It should never happen in any decent team. This is not a Kyrie Irving. I'm not even. We are not talking about Bradley Beal. I'm not talking about James Harden. These are reliable shooters. We are talking about Russell Westbrook taking more shots than Kevin Durant in crunch time. It's not acceptable anyway. And that was why Kevin Durant gave up, like, nah, I can't win with this guy. A lot of us, I think the problem we had with Kevin Durant was not because even leaving Oklahoma City then. It's probably joining the Warriors. Yeah, so, but again, whatever we are saying, reaffirm the reason why Russell Westbrook quits on on the Oklahoma City. And because then Russell Westbrook is highly regarded within the Oklahoma City dressing room and and the front office.
Management.
So Kevin Durant just look at it like, and Kevin Durant being a very sensitive guy he could be doing all those nonsense you see, but he's very sensitive. He just figured it out that now you can't win with the way this guy plays basketball. So for me,
perfect.
The whole Lakers problem.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that, Malali. So we should, according to Malali Kachi, we should be saying bye-bye to Westbrook right now. Looks more like a liability than an asset. Is that 100% correct, Kachi?
Russell could be an asset if he has the right complement of people around him. So what makes him a liability really is how the current Lakers team is constructed, and not necessarily based on his skill set. Like Olawale alluded to, everybody has known that Russell will chase his personal statistics. He will chase it. But in chasing those statistics, he will turn the ball over at least 6 or 8 times per game. Yesterday, he was 0 for 3 from the 0 for 3 from the 3-point lane and had about 16 turnovers. So it would have been ideal to say yes, bye-bye to Russell Westbrook. But Olawale said this clearly. The Lakers traded all their capital, pretty much, in getting AD from New Orleans and Russell from Washington. So right now, if you are going to get a replacement for Russell Westbrook, which unfortunately would most likely be a Bradley Beal and a John Wall, the two players who have been the subject of trade or the pieces used in moving Russell to the Rockets and also to Washington, I'm sure they themselves will become very disillusioned. Why our names always intertwined with Russell Westbrook? That's number one. Number two is, do they to move him? They need to match the salary cap, right? The Lakers are currently paying what they call a luxury tax because they are slightly over the salary cap. If they should go much more than that right now, I don't even think that is feasible. That is why you've seen them go into what they've been signing a bunch of role players through what they call the hardship window, getting Isaiah Thomas on a 10-day contract, getting a couple of other players on a 10-day contract. It might be sensible to move him, but right now it is not feasible because the Lakers are in no position to trade for anybody that would improve that team. It's unfortunate. I heard the rumor that they even went to acquire about a Russell Westbrook Ben Simmons from the Philadelphia 76ers.
Do that.
And I laughed at the same 76ers that they offered CJ McCollum, or I think they also offered an Andrew Wiggins to get. And these are people that can still give you better numbers, better performance, not numbers, better performance than the Russell. And Murray said no, and you want to get a Russell Westbrook. So it makes no sense. The Lakers have to stick with Russell until the end of the season and see what can happen after that.
All right, perfect. Best of luck to the Lakers. I don't see the luck coming for them anyways. But best of luck to them anyways. Giannis Adetokounmpo said he was on a vacation with the COVID outlay. It should be starting for the next game against the Boston Celtics. And of course, the Golden State Warriors topped it out against the Phoenix Suns. With Steph Curry having 33 points, 156 straight games where he had at least 2 3-pointers in the game. With Porter having 7 points. I don't think we have to. There's nothing more to talk about when it comes to Steph Curry and what he's doing at the Golden State Warriors, unless you guys disagree with me. Shooting down straight into the tennis world, Andy Murray is being given a white card to feature at the Australian Open. Kachi, do you think with what Andy Murray has done in the tennis world, do you think he deserved this? Don't forget that Andy just defeated Nadal last week before bowing out to Rublev. So it looks like his game is actually coming up. Do you agree that he is entitled to this wild card?
It's really not about whether he's entitled or if he deserves it. It's really about the Australian Open trying to make sure they get as much or as many star powers or star names playing in that tournament. This is in light of the current COVID cases and the number of superstars who are set to miss the Australian Open.
The tournament.
So basically, the management have to come out to say, hey, we still need crowd pullers, whether they are at the top of their games or not. Let's not forget the Australian is intertwined with the British, and Andy Murray would forever be a name associated with tennis great, even if his current game does not speak to that volume. So I don't think, yes, I appreciate the fact that he's coming up. He defeated the Nadal, which we now find out is because he was already getting weak from COVID symptoms. Exactly. So it's more of, let's make sure people still attend our tournament or watch it than the fact that Murray can do it. But you never know. We've seen a lot of beautiful comeback stories in tennis, in life as well. I'm rooting for him. I kind of enjoyed when he won the Wimbledon. I know how British hype their own. I hope he does well, but he has not really shown that his game has been elevated to the level where he can compete for the major tournaments.
For major tournaments. All right, perfect. And of course, Rafael Nadal tested positive, like Kachi just said, after his comeback. So Nada is down right now, and Sharplov too is down with COVID. So it looks like the tournament in Australia, in Melbourne, would not be so interesting. Olali, if I'm to ask you, how long do you think the Australian Open should be pushed back for us to have the top names and to have sick-free stars playing in it? Olali.
It's a bit difficult. I don't know how long it might take, but from the look of things, for the past 2 years or 2 years, well, that we've been battling with this COVID thing, I think the transmission rate in December, January seems to be a bit higher, probably due to the weather. At least traditionally, most of these Western countries battle with flu around this period. So I think probably if, I don't know how it works with the schedule of the ATF and the Australian, again, you know, white people, they respect that tradition. Australian Open in January is always very good. Probably if they could push it to March, things could be a bit better. But beyond that, I still think for stars, for me, I don't give athletes an easy pass by in some of these issues. Sometimes I think they need to show a bit of, let me say, they don't show, there's this thing about them, about availability. They don't really try to make themselves available. Considering the situation we find ourselves. Yeah, for somebody that, you know, okay, I'm going to play in Australia Open in January. You can do your timetable. Okay. From 1st December, I think I have to watch.
We'll talk about that when we get to the Premier
League. I'm just saying. So, but I think March could be it. But again, it's beyond that. I think the stars could probably help this competition by trying to make themselves available.
All right. It's scheduled to actually occur between the 17th of January up until the 30th of January, which is.
And there's a reason. And there's, if I can chip in, there's a reason why the Australian Open holds in January. The Australian weather is always very hot, very, very hot. If you see the geography of Australia itself, the middle of the country, nobody lives there because it is immensely hot. People, basically everybody's living around the coastal areas where the water and everything makes temperature slightly cooler. That's why January happens to be the coolest month in all their calendar. That's why they try to, and even at that, it is still hot compared to what the rest of the world is used to. From February, March, the whole country, February to April, the whole country braced themselves up for the wildfires that occur from the immense heat that will happen. That's why they want to get the tournament out of the way and focus on reducing the spread of the wildfire. So while Olawale made complete sense and we will argue the case that the athletes make the decisions or make holding this tournament really difficult because they are too egoistical to make sacrifices, personal sacrifices that will benefit the tournament organizers and even fans. It will be very difficult for the ATF to move it to another time, simply because while Australians can endure the heat, they are used to it. The rest of the world will struggle so hard to thrive in other months.
All right, perfect. We'll go on a quick break right now. When we'll come back, we'll be jumping straight into the Premier League, where we'll be talking about the new Saddam Hussein that is at the Emirates Stadium. Don't go anywhere, guys. Yeah, so we're back now. I'll be jumping straight to the Emirates, where we have the new Saddam Hussein victimizing the small, should I call him shites? I don't know, Sunni of Iraq. Olali, I'm going to come straight to you. I'm going to go for your juggler on this one. Aubameyang, just to give you a brief background knowledge to our listener, Aubameyang is a troublesome individual. This is that guy that started from AC Milan in the academics, went to Saint-Etienne. From Saint-Etienne, he made it almost impossible for Saint-Etienne till he was sold to Dortmund. At Dortmund, he cited players like Ousmane Dembele against the club because he wanted to leave for Arsenal. So the question, the character of Aubameyang himself is a difficult one. His character as a human being is difficult. And I totally understand that. And he's a nature freak. He likes to show off his cars, show off exorbitant things on social media. But in this particular case, Aubameyang's mom was actually sick. Abba went to France to check on his mom and came back a day late, just one day. It shows irresponsibility, quote and unquote. And he has been punished. Why should Arsenal make Aubameyang train alone, even after being punished? So my question is this the same treatment that Arsenal, it's becoming a pattern? Once you become the highest earner in Arsenal, you would get victimized. It's becoming a pattern. I think the last person that did not get victimized being the highest earning footballer in Arsenal was Thierry Henry. Olali, your thoughts?
Yeah. Let me take it from the last part. That is this a pattern that if you become the highest earning player in Arsenal, you become a victim? I think that one is a coincidence. First of all, we can lay that one to rest. Now, going to the issue, you've already laid out, you've given us the background of the whole issue, how troublesome and how a difficult personality Aubameyang is. Now looking at the coach, who was Mikel Arteta as a player, a modest footballer with a modest career, starting with the Barcelona Academy, where did Mikel Arteta made his name much? I think
Rangers.
Rangers. Rangers
PSG.
were his best things.
Mm-hmm. PSG.
Then he played with Everton.
Mm-hmm.
He played with Everton. Then towards the end of his career, he played at Arsenal. So I'm not sure Aubameyang. I'm not sure in terms of status as a player. I'm not sure Mikel Arteta even reached that status of Aubameyang. And even Aubameyang is not the biggest star of in today's football.
100%.
So that shows you the personality class from where he is coming from. Of somebody who has to prove himself day to day out that is a decent footballer. It is a decent martial to somebody who probably is a bit more established. So now, looking at the performance, like you said, Aubameyang has had some series of issues. This is not the first time. If looking at the case very well, if Aubameyang was just a day late to return to camp, that shouldn't be. It could be an issue, but that should not be a major issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, that means there could be a lot of things behind the scene that we are not aware of. That one was just a trigger. That was just like a smoke screen. That was the easy way out for them to this
actually punish him.
This guy. Yeah, if you look at his performance prior to that incident, the United game, some couple of games before that, it means
Newcastle
against, I don't know which team they were playing against.
Newcastle.
It means a sitter. Newcastle, yes. He has not been playing well in the last 3-4 games, and his body language wasn't that impressive. I think I made mention of it to you one time that I think this guy is a bit tired of football. So I think all those incidents with what probably has been going on behind the scene that we are not aware of could be the reason why. Is the reason why this kind of treatment is being. See, let's imagine Aubameyang has scored 16 goals this season for Arsenal, and he came back a day late from going to see his mom. Do you think anybody will make it an issue?
Exactly.
So I think they are saying that result-wise, they can actually do without him. And that's why you are seeing all these things now. Lots of young boys are stepping up. Probably Lacazette it might not be able to give it the number of goals Aubameyang gives you, but at least it can get the other guys involved. And they seem to be getting it right, at least against the other teams outside the top four.
Yeah.
So result is going his way. This could be his best time to get at Aubameyang, and it's just
I'm moving out of the question.
All right. It's a lot of combination of things.
Kachi, I'm going to come to.
I won't say whether it's fair or not.
Okay, all right, Kachi, I'm going to come to you now. And I'm going to put like a background knowledge to it as well. William Saliba was signed by Unai Emery for £27 million. Mikel Arteta did not allow this poor kid play for Arsenal. Matt Guendouzi, last season against Brighton and Hove, actually said something bad to a Brighton and Hove player while trying to defend the jersey of Arsenal. And Arteta made sure that the guy was excluded from Arsenal. Nicolas Pepe might not be playing very well, but right now he's an outcast in Arsenal as well. This looks to me like a trend, and it looks dictatorial. Sometimes some players thrive in a positive environment. If the negativity is too much, some players will not thrive. That's my own opinion, but I want to sample yours.
Yes. Different. We've seen different players succeed under different managerial or leadership environment, right? However, what should make a player a superstar boils down to their adaptability to the different managerial styles. In typical Nigerian idiom, we'll say soldier go, soldier come, barracks will remain. What I'm basically saying is that oftentimes these players outlive the managers. The manager's job is less secure than the players, right?
Yeah.
And from all these people you have mentioned, maybe just like except in one case, in Arsenal, these players seem to be the oldest compared to the people coming from the academy. That means Arteta wanted to hold them to a particular standard so that those other young guys will come and emulate them. Mikel Arteta joined Arsenal when there were older people there, the people that had been in the club longer, and he rose to become the captain of that particular club. I think he was vice captain under Van Persie, and then he became captain when Van Persie left. There must have been certain traits that Arsene Wenger, the soft-spoken Arsene Wenger, saw in Mikel Arteta before he gave him the captain ban. And Arteta wanted to ingratiate that into the top guys. I don't have any problem with Arteta's style. When we said it, when we were discussing during our break, most of the biggest and most successful coaches have a tendency to be dictatorial, save for maybe the Carlo Ancelotti. But from Marcello Lippi to Sir Alex Ferguson to Fabio Capello to even Pep Guardiola and what he did with Grealish and Phil Foden, you need sometimes to let these players know that if I fail, the first person they will sack would not be you, the player, but me, the coach. So I want to succeed. And in order to succeed, this is how we must do it. If my way does not work, I will work knowing that my way failed. As against, I bent to your rules, my way still failed, and I left.
Okay.
So I have no problem with what Arteta's approach. I actually think and I expect my coach who wants to bring out the best in me to push me rather than to pet me, especially when I'm the biggest name in the club. That's my thoughts.
All right, perfect. So we'd reduce the role of Arteta now from Saddam Hussein to Generalist. Is it safe to say that?
I will take that.
You'll take Generalist. Okay, all right. Perfect. Thank you very much, guys, for that wonderful analysis. And of course, talking about Tottenham Hotspur right now, results seems to be going their way right now. And thanks to, of course, the managerial change, which is Antonio Conte. When he first came, after a couple of games in the Europa Conference, he said he did not know that the odds was this much. That this looks like a messy football club. But the results have been coming their way ever since. Stable, exactly. And Olali, are you going to say this is down to Antonio Conte influence? And they play on a very crazy counter-attacking football right now. Like very, 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 very crazy one. That's why they got the result. on a very strict counter-attacking football, and they got the results 2-2. It wasn't like they were playing well. They did not play well, if you ask me. But they created more chances than Liverpool in that game. More quality chances than Liverpool in that game. Olali, should we say this is down to the influence of Conte, a new managerial change syndrome, or this counter-attacking football? How long do you think is sustainable for Spurs?
Yeah, and for the to your first question, whatever the turnaround in terms of result that we've seen, it has to. We have to give credit to what do you call it, Conte, because prior to during the time of Esperanto, they were for like 90% of time when you see them, they look like a team short of ideas in terms of what they want to do, how they want to execute play.
Exactly.
So and probably for him switching to probably a 3-4-3 most times, sometimes 3-5-2. There's no Lucas Moura there. Yeah. When Lucas Moura is there, it's more of a 3-4-3. Sure. Yeah, they don't do a pressing like the big teams, but I think there's something that triggers them to press you at the midway line. They don't do an advanced pressing to go and press you in the front. Yeah. But you do a bit of pressing immediately when you cross that middle line. Exactly. And try to see how they could win the ball from there. Even if you could win the ball at that point, especially against the big teams that play highlight defense, you'll be able to create a lot. You'll be able to utilize. There will be a lot of space behind, and you'll be able to utilize. And that was why they were able to. I think they should. Last week was a mix of. I think they should have won the game because at 1-0, they have a couple of like 3 or 4 chances.
Good chances
for them to like probably made it 2-0 or 3-0 before Diogo Jota scored the equalizer. Even after that, they still created some couple of chances. Mm-hmm. It might not look completely pretty, but another thing you have to give to them is they look a bit fitter compared to when Nuno was there. And one thing you have to give to Antonio Conte is this: he tries to get his players very fit because the style of play he wants to execute requires a lot of energy and players being very fit. So we have to give it to him. How long it's going to last them is what we can't say. We still need to see how let's see how far they can go with this. Arsenal is not making things easy for either Spurs or United now with the way they are getting their results against those teams they were expected to beat. Yeah, because if you look at the Arsenal result this season so far, bar the Brentford game, they've only lost. I think Crystal Palace too. They've only lost to the top guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Man City, Chelsea.
If they could keep that momentum going, getting result against those teams that they expect to get result, it might be difficult for Spurs or United to get to the top 4. So let's see how Spurs, if they can keep this going, they don't probably what will I say? They don't surrender under pressure.
Yeah.
But so far so good. It's looking good. And we have to give the credit to Antonio Conte.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. Kachi, Harry Kane had a body language that says, I don't want to play for Spurs again at the start of the season. And Conte came around and it looks like we are seeing a different Harry Kane.
Absolutely. And what do you think is the difference? Is the fact that I believe Antonio Conte has enforced his dictatorial style. It's if you are in this club, then you owe this club 100% of your attention. Leave anything regarding your future to the off-season, when you need to ensure that you play. And I think that's really what the major difference is right now. Antonio Conte came in, he saw the extent of work he needed, and he realized, I don't need to babysit anybody. You are all professionals. It's either you justify the huge wages you are earning per week, or we put you on the trade block. And the trade block would be you sitting on the bench, your value reducing, and then you get to go at a ridiculous amount to a very small club. When the big clubs come, I will not even listen to them, except Newcastle comes and you go to Newcastle, which seems to be the only club that is ready to buy you now. So I think Conte has told Harry Kane of how important Harry Kane is to the fortunes of Tottenham Hotspur. But I also believe he also told Harry Kane, if, however, you are still not interested in playing for Spurs. Let it be known right now so that it is on record that you said so and I can bench you. And I think Harry Kane has seen a difference in being coddled, which I think Nuno was trying to do because he was the biggest star, and somebody holding him to a very high esteem. Harry Kane has rediscovered the scoring touch, but I think it's because he has the trust, but he also knows that he can be flogged figuratively by the same coach in Antonio Conte. That's what I think is the difference.
Talking about Antonio Conte, I remember an interview that Conte had with Thierry Henry, and Henry asked Antonio Conte that most players, when they don't listen to you or the tactical approach that you want, what do you do? You look like you're mad. Antonio Conte said, I feel like killing them. I kill them. Yeah, exactly. So that goes to show you that Arteta is a novice when it comes to dictatorial values.
But he's learning and learning well. I think we should give credit to Arteta that in spite of the fact that he doesn't have the kind of coaching history that Stevie G has, when I say so, I mean success in a smaller club and then translating it here. The fact that he could do 2 years or even 3 years learning under Pep Guardiola, and people think Pep Guardiola is soft. I thought a lot of guys think, oh, because he's always smiling.
It's just,
you told me. Remember when Kun Aguero was leaving, you said Guardiola was a snake. It's really, and the same thing he did to Kelechi Iheanacho. That young man, because you think they are shouting your name, you want to go and dribble. And you are not among those that have the freedom to dribble. And Iheanacho tried to dribble once or twice during a particular game, I cannot remember. And that was the last time he played for Manchester City. Sometimes you need it. We are parents, thankfully, we thank God for that. And there are times when we let our kids know, we trust you, make some mistakes. But there are other times, especially when you've given them that instruction, first time, second time, third time, when they make the same mistake, there has to be some form of correction to let them know that you cannot be toyed with. And I think that's what Conte is doing.
Anyways, if you want a definition of Guardiola, ask the guy at the back of Kachi. His name is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And of course, I'm going to come to you now. Aubameyang is being placed on the transfer window. We're looking PSG. I said PSG. Juventus is coming. Looking at getting the Barcelona. The broke Barcelona are looking to get him as well. But of course, we don't know where that will end. But to a more pressing matter is the matter of Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe was not sold to Real Madrid, even though he had 1 year left on his contract. Like it was a decisive decision. It was a decision. It was a deliberate decision on the part of PSG not to sell him. They bid it as high as 220 million euros for Mbappe, but they refused to sell. That they were not broke for someone that in 6 months can actually talk to Real Madrid. Now, there is a talk of a possible extension for Mbappe at PSG, not going to Real Madrid right now. How do you think? This sounds crazy. How do you think it's going to pan out, in your own opinion?
Now, whatever we say here is probably just an assumption based on the little information we have.
100%.
But Kachi, there is something in the NBA they called sign and trade, or
sign and release.
Like Chris Paul, when Chris Paul was in was at the Clippers, I think it was a free agent. He could have signed directly for, what do you call it,
the Suns,
Rockets. I think Rockets. I think probably because of the salary, what do you call it, mismatch, he had to sign and they had to trade him.
Yes.
There's like a gentleman agreement, like, okay, will you sign? We'll trade you. I think the same thing with Kevin Durant too at Golden State Warriors. Like that was the reason why Warriors were able to get what's the name of this guy they've traded to the Timberwolves. This points guy, I've forgotten his name. But this is what I think is happening. This is my own thinking. Kylian Mbappe will end up at Real Madrid in the summer. I don't think Kylian Mbappe is foolish enough just to sign an extension and be off. His Madrid move will be off the table. I think people around him will advise him not to do that. I think Kylian Mbappe wants to be World Footballer of the Year. I think he knows that it will be very difficult for him to achieve that at PSG. and considering the fact another reason why that would be difficult to achieve in PSG is you are sharing the limelight with two other big stars. So whatever PSG achieve it might be difficult for them to attribute it to you. You know, sometimes sports this time nowadays is more about narrative. So I think what they are trying to do is this: there will be a release clause in that extension is going to sign, and the release clause will be which I think he could have probably discussed with Madrid. There could have been an agreement with Madrid, like, okay, how much can you guys afford to pay for me? Ideally, I think it's just a gentleman way for at the beginning of the season. I think PSG were just. I think they wanted to experiment the top these their big three.
Big three, yeah, and see
what we want to see how far it can take them if they can win the Champions League. But now I think they are realizing that they might not need the three.
The third person, yes.
Probably two might be enough, or okay, the 1 year is almost over. Okay, let's forget about how rich we are. Let's handle this thing like a business that it is. Okay, we'll let you go. You sign an extension. There will be a release clause there. If the club can meet it, you are off. That's my own. That might not be eventually what will happen, but that's what I think.
Okay, all right. Kachi, what about you?
And it's almost as if I'm going to repeat verbatim what Olawale said, because this was the same argument we had during our production call, that I personally feel that this negotiation is coming so that PSG gets something. Yes, PSG is rich, but they realize, okay, we refused 220 million, but instead of you going for free now, if we see that same 220 million at the end of your contract, now that you're supposed to be a free agent, we will take it. It's really, it's a case of pure economics. I think Olawale brought another angle that I didn't think of, which was, we've experimented with three. Neymar has a better relationship with Messi than Mbappe has. And I remember, and I think I shared that interview with you between Kylian Mbappe and Thierry Henry, where Thierry specifically told him, you already know how to speak Spanish fluently. Is there something we should be thinking about? And the young man himself came out to say, look, he's always known that to be the world best, he would have to play for one of the two biggest clubs in Spain. It's a personal desire of him. I don't think that contract is to keep him tied to PSG. I think it's just to make PSG get some money after 5 years of fruitful services to him. And similar to the gentleman agreement Ronaldo had with Alex Ferguson in playing one more year before going to Madrid, this is basically a gentleman agreement saying PSG, it will not be fruitful if you let me go after paying such a king's ransom to get me in the first place. So I'm almost echoing what Olawale told you.
Okay, I have a dissenting opinion, anyways, from you guys, which is understandable given the kind of personality I have. But just to purchase what you said before I air my own dissenting opinion, is the fact that Mbappe said over the summer that he does not want to leave PSG under any circumstances as a free agent. He came out to say it in the summer. So probably, considering that, your thoughts might be fine. But for me, I feel if given the kind of people that the Arabians are, the Qataris are, if Mbappe should sign a 4-year or 5-year contract, they will ensure he waits it out. That's my opinion. Don't bully me.
I have a question. Who is Mbappe's agent? Who is Mbappe's agent?
I don't know.
I think it's Mina Raiola. I'm not sure.
No, not Mina Raiola. If it was Mino, Mbappe would have left PSG this last summer. If it was Mino, would have left last summer. So for me, I feel if you should make the mistake of signing, you wait out that contract. And I keep saying it. Mbappe is like what?
In fact, just fresh information. Yeah. It's the world famous Jorabchian the guy who
Oh,
brought
that
who brought.
Tevez.
Yeah,
So it's even a worse
agent.
reptile than Mino is.
No,
So
nobody's
don't worry
no, nobody's
about
nobody
anybody holding them back.
nobody
Don't worry
is
about that.
nobody is
The man that
nobody-
wants to have access to players to himself.
Nobody in this world is worse than Mino Raiola. For me, I feel, and I start to be corrected anyways. If he should sign a 4 or 5 year contract extension, it's going to be in PSG for another 2 or 3 years. He's not going to leave next season. For
I don't think so.
100%.
I don't think so.
And this is number 2. Mbappe is what, 20, 21 years old, right? He's not even at the peak of his power yet. He's 23 years old, yeah. So you have like 2 years to get to that peak power. His Real Madrid move can wait until he's 25 years old. Anyways, moving away from there, Real Madrid are looking for a formidable partnership of Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe next season up front. So they are looking to beat the highest for Erling Haaland. I just want to know how, if all things being equal, everything goes out well, right? You have an aging Benzema, you have the resurgent Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, Hazard leaving, of course, Lucas Vázquez being the how they call it, the support cast, and you have Haaland, exactly, you have Haaland and Mbappe in your team, and you know the kind of telepathic what? How do you say?
Understanding
between Benzema and Mbappe at the French national team. We said it before. It's a telepathic understanding between them. Now you have the 3 up front with a Vinicius Junior. How do you think? Do you think it's going to be like one of the best combination? All is being equal, like one of the best combination that we've seen in recent years.
Is this to me or to Wale? Okay, if it's to me, I think they would have a very soft underbelly because we don't only have Benzema aging in that team. The current best triumvirate of Toni Kroos, Casemiro, and Modric are also aging as well. And right now, there seems to be no adequate replacement for them. If they do that, it will remind me of the top-heavy team that Madrid had with the Kaká, Ronaldo, and the likes, and a very soft, weak middle, such that, yes, they will be entertaining to watch, but they will not dominate a lot of games, and we'll have to rely on their individual brilliance. So coming back to say that if that happens, then we need to give them 2 more years before they become a world beater again, because they will still have to go back to the market and scour for some creative and very strong midfield talents.
They are looking to get a certain Pogba for free from them.
But Pogba can't do the work of 3 people. They need somebody to complement Pogba.
Now, Debo, I think when I got that question initially, when you threw that question out, my initial thought was, this is crazy. It will not work. And I just realized Madrid doesn't do anything that actually makes sense. Historically, they do things that makes it very difficult for the coach. When they brought in David Beckham, it wasn't a natural fit. It was a headache for the coach to have to figure out. I remember that time to justify it. Florentino Perez said they sold a player who can do it, who can make the 2-yard pass for a player who can give us the 25-yard pass.
Yeah.
When they brought in Gareth Bale with Isco in that team, with Angel Di Maria, and for you to have a solid base in midfield, we all look at how would this thing work. It doesn't make sense. It's not actually making sense. But thank God they have a Carlo Ancelotti who was able to do some kind of magic with the team, and before you know it, he figured out one way of playing. Now he's the one in charge. Of course, Madrid will always do things from commercial point of view, and with the same time, at least with some footballing value too. They will not leave it for the coach, even though if it's not an ideal situation, just figure it out. Because I think whatever transfer you've already said now doesn't look natural. Vinicius Junior, if you bring in Mbappe now, Benzema, even though he's aging, is probably playing his best football
Yes.
of his career now.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you can bench him directly now. Do you want to play like the French? Two guys are in the front, a bit of steals around there in the midfield. Do you want to play this expansive football that man? So you look at it, it doesn't look like something that's naturally Haaland there, Mbappe here,
Vinny
Benzema there,
Jr.
Vinny Jr. But again, that's what they do. They don't do things that make sense. They just leave it for the coach to come and figure out. And that's why the coach, after 6-7 months, they will sack him. Another one will be coming and will now do some kind of cleanup. So, but again, if they could get Pogba on free transfer, I don't know. Pogba, I don't know how consistent it could be, but it could be a very great addition to that team. But I think the biggest assets, why I think all these things can work out, is because of Carlo Ancelotti. If there's any coach that has proven over time, with different system, different players, and figuring it out, it is Carlo Ancelotti. And that's the only reason why I'm probably a bit relaxed about whoever Madrid likes, they can bring in.
Ancelotti will figure it out. All right, perfect. And of course, talking about a system player that I think is the best, left Liverpool for Barcelona for hefty sum of amount of money, and he came to understand that sometimes you are just a system footballer, not a perfect footballer. I said it last week, and we've seen it across. We've seen it over time with players like Emre Can, with players like Gini Wijnaldum, with players like I forgot the former Manchester United player, with players like even Danny Fletcher. They were system footballers. They will perform very well within the system, but immediately they leave that system, they are nothing. They are just an average footballer. And talking about no other person apart from Philippe Coutinho moving to Newcastle. If I feel bad, I feel sorry for Coutinho at this level. It should be. I think Coutinho is like one of the top 5 or top 3, if I'm not mistaken, most expensive footballer of all time.
And the level was going when he was in Liverpool, not even about the expensive now. The level at which he was going in Liverpool, it should have been a top 5 footballer self, not even about the
now being linked to a championship bound Newcastle. Tachi, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel the same way I felt when the young Oscar left Chelsea for China. I guess his agent has told him, Philip, you've tried it in Germany, you've tried it in Spain. You had it good in England, but they don't want you back. Right now, think about your pension. Forget records or forget performances anymore. Philip Coutinho, I'm sure personally will stay back and regret insisting or forcing that move to Barcelona when he did, especially because everybody in Liverpool wanted him to stay. But we've always known that Newcastle will come for big names as well. We've sat here during our different shows to postulate on who would most likely be the first marquee signing Newcastle would make. I think getting a Philippe Coutinho would also raise some eyebrows and let some other players say, okay, maybe we should all go here and resurrect our career. If Philippe Coutinho thinks this is a club worth playing
a good
for,
fit.
A club worth playing for. However, Coutinho on his own, with those players that Newcastle currently has, it will probably just be a John Joe Shelby for me. But I don't blame the young man. Personally, as I sit here, I'm also thinking of ways where I can make or earn enough to make me stop working by the age of 40, 42, if it's going to happen. So while he's going to think of it, I've won the Champions League with Bayern Munich. I think I won the league with Bayern. I've tried and I've made names or made my name with some of these biggest clubs. Maybe it's time to start thinking of my future. I really see nothing wrong with it because it's not as if he's falling from grass to grace or from grace to grass. He's already at the grass level, and the only way he can go right now is up. So let's see how it happens.
Allow me to say something.
Couple of things. I think there's this thing about Coutinho's career that I've not really understand. There's this mysterious thing about how his whole career has gone from a young player that played in Nigeria, I think 2009 under 17? No, 2009, yes, under 17 or
2009 under 17.
Under 17.
Yes.
Very promising young player alongside Neymar, then Oscar. I think him and Oscar now played the under 21 in 2011 in Colombia. Yeah. Before moving to Inter. It was very promising when he moved to Inter from Brazil. But then, alongside with Kovacic, both of them struggled at Inter Milan for reason I don't actually know. I can't explain. And that was why he was able to join Liverpool a bit very cheap.
Now when he moved to Real Zaragoza.
Then before coming to
Liverpool,
then he exploded in Liverpool. He exploded under Brendan Rodgers, and he did very well under, what do you call it, Klopp. But during that time, because of his attack, because of, I think then at times you see Klopp playing Coutinho, Salah, Firmino, Mane all at the same time. Sometimes that leaves them a bit soft in midfield, and for all the attacking, what do you call it, threats, they're still a bit vulnerable. So, but when he joined Barcelona, I saw it as a very good thing. Why he struggled at Barcelona still remain a misery for me. I still can't understand it.
I can give you Lionel Messi's number.
For the 1 year loan he spent at, what do you call it, Bayern, I don't think he performed that badly.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did not. So he's a very good footballer, but now coming to Newcastle, is he going to be fit enough to make a difference in that team? Because I think one of the things he's battling with now is fitness problem. He has not played enough football
at the top level
in the last few months. Fitness and motivation. How motivated is he going to be? If he could answer those two things, it could be a joker for Newcastle.
All right, perfect. We wish Newcastle best of luck. Don't forget, guys, this is just a transfer speculation. We don't know if it's going to happen or not. And of course, Jesse Lingard could be the highest earner in Premier League if he moves to Newcastle, the championship bound Newcastle. And of course,
if we dancing on Emirates. At the Emirates Stadium, he like dancing at the Emirates Stadium.
Yeah, he knows how to
dancing at the Emirates Stadium.
He knows how to score against Arsenal. And of course, Mendy is up on a 7-count rape charge. This is the 7 counts or the 7 allegation or whatever.
Can we just leave that guy's case
against Mendy?
I think that case is done deal. That case is done deal.
It's a sad one. Anyways, it's a sad one. Just be careful out there, guys. Wherever you are, in any country you are, be careful. That's also a statement. Kachi, I'm going to come to you now. With this COVID and no protocol for COVID in England, particularly, should we see a 1-2 week break in England? Let them fashion out the COVID protocols. Some players, I don't want to mention name, for the attack that I've gotten in the past. Anyways, I'll mention him. For Manchester United, they said they had like 4 or 5 players with COVID. Their match was postponed. Chelsea had 6-7 players. Their match was postponed. Same for Liverpool. So we don't even have a standard. Kachi.
Yes.
10 minutes more.
And I strongly believe that they should. Even before the case of COVID came, most of the big name coaches have always argued for a break for these players to refuel, recharge their batteries. Now we have COVID that has been ravishing the English Premier League. Players, yes, because of how fit they are, have been recovering pretty faster than you and I that don't play competitive sports. But that still doesn't mean that this ailment or the disease did not leave an impact on their body. And because of the inconsistency in the management of the EPL, the English FA, I personally thought that, okay, we made a mistake with Chelsea and whatever. let's use the Christmas break, just 1 week, maybe not 2 weeks. Take a week break and come up with a policy document that will be enforced across the four leagues that the English FA controls. Right now, it's similar to what is happening with VAR. I don't know what is true. I don't know what is not true. Secondly, the policy document should ensure that, similar to what the NBA, the National Hockey League, and the NFL does, that the names of anybody that has been exposed to the disease is released. It's not for us to ridicule them, but it's enough for us to say, okay, based on the number of players we've heard, I think they should postpone the game. Right now, everything is shrouded in mystery, and it does not paint the English FA in good light. I am for the opinion of taking a break to sort this out and release a single document. Whether it happens, I don't think so. We know that they want to entertain all of us, and I'm entertained during the holidays, but also I want to be entertained for longer, and that may mean putting the player's safety first.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kachi. I know Olali have a difference of opinion about this, but last season, COVID forced them to take this break that they don't want to take. Olali, your view.
No, not last season. Upper season. COVID started 2019-2020 season.
Mm-hmm.
That was the initial problem that we don't know. We don't have enough information. Every other part of the world, everything around the world actually shut down around that period. But going to 2020, 2021, I think they were more. I think then even I don't know if the vaccine was out about this same time last year. I stand to be corrected. I'm not sure the vaccine were already out by this time last year, but we had lesser incidents because of the way the teams and the players
handle themselves
and took these, all these safety protocol, how they took it very serious, where you can go to, who you can be exposed to, the level of testing and all those things. But I think there's a bit of, everybody was a bit relaxed now, considering the fact that the rates dropped during the year with vaccine available here and there. So I think but that aside, my own opinion is this. I'm in support of having a standard, health and safety protocol. I'm in support of making a full disclosure about who is infected and who is not infected. I'm in support of having a standard number of players that can be infected that could make a game to be called off. I'm in support of that. But I think all these things can still be achieved while we still continue to play football. We don't have to stop playing football for 1 week to make this decision. Let me tell you, if you want to satisfy everybody, you'll be on this issue for 1 year.
Yes,
and you will not agree.
Nothing will get done, of course. I know there are two cabals in the Premier League anyways. The top six. Kachi said I should add. Kachi bullied me to adding sports. So I'll say the top six and the lower 14. So there is always a difference of opinion between the top six and the lower 14. The lower 14 would not want things to work for the top six. While the top six will want to put their own selfish interest to override and bully the last 14. I don't agree with Olale 100%. I agree with Kachi more that we could take a week break. Let these players to have a week break and let's settle this thing. And once we come back, let's know exactly what we're doing so we can hold them responsible. Because in the long run, Liverpool game against Spurs last week, some Liverpool players look like they were sick. Players like Salah, he looked like he was sick. I don't know what anybody it was. That's not the Salah that I know.
No,
but
it doesn't matter.
But honestly, players like Ederson,
I think the Liverpool Leeds game was called up more on the instance of Leeds, not Liverpool, because Leeds are battling. They are battling with two things. Injuries. Their injury level has skyrocketed.
Yeah,
and now adding COVID to it. If you watch their game against Arsenal, if you look at bench,
that's not Leeds. I was so annoyed that Leeds versus Liverpool man did not go ahead, because if he did, Salah was my captain. I would have at least gotten at least 30 points off Salah. But of course, it's just fair that we should know what the rules are. We should abide by the rule and follow it. England just likes to do things that are selfless and sometimes does not make sense. It's not skyrocket. It's not so difficult. Germany is on break, Spain is on break, Italy is on break.
Italy is on break as well.
Everybody will finish the league at the same time.
Traditionally, those countries have always been on break.
I know.
Traditionally,
Olale,
those countries have always been on break.
Olale, I agree with you 100%. But going on a break for 1 week is not going to kill them. That's what I'm saying.
We need to make money during Christmas. People watch more football now. The same thing in the NBA and the NFL. You have to get that right.
Okay, all right.
So what if the league does it like the NBA? Now that you mentioned it, Olawale, what if the league does it like the NBA, where they only have 5 marquee games? The NBA, they don't play Christmas Eve or Boxing Day on Christmas Day itself, so that everybody after Christmas Day, you give everybody 1 week. On Christmas Day, you set the Manchester City versus United, Liverpool, Everton. The big derbies are fixed for Christmas. I'm just saying, those are the only days, and the rest.
Kaji, they will not agree. They will not agree that they fix the matches. That's where the problem will come. They will not agree. we all know the matches are fixed, but they will never agree with us. Anyways, guys, we have 2 more minutes left. Manchester City defeated Leicester City 6-3. I wish we could talk about the game, but we can't because of time. Chelsea, thanks to Lukaku, bringing them back from the dead, defeated Aston Villa 3-1 with Jorginho scoring 2 penalties. It's about time you get Jorginho in your FPL anyways, guys. West Ham, for all their initial...
But wait.
Lost against Southampton.
This Jorginho team.
Yeah.
Was he on that Mauricio Sarri that this nonsense started? How on earth Jorginho
takes penalty over Lukaku?
Jorginho in his footballing career.
I cannot stand it.
No, Jorginho in his footballing career.
It's annoying.
His conversion
rate that doesn't even contribute. What is conversion rate?
His conversion rate.
England that messed up at the day.
His conversion rate
has missed like 3 or 4 this year.
His conversion rate is in the 90 percentile. And of course, Arsenal defeated.
Even your conversion rate should be like 90%. What is there in a penalty? Olale, that guy should stop taking penalties. I don't want him taking penalties again.
Olale, you're a bully. Arsenal defeated. Depleted. Olale has eventually killed me. Defeated and depleted Norwich City.
Norwich City.
And
my guy Smith Rowe. Despite the fact that Arteta doesn't want to start him, he has scored in 3 consecutive games.
Jenny Rollins decided not to start. Anyway, guys, that's the show, and that's the wrap of the show today. Thank you very much for staying tuned with us. Till we see you again next week. My name is Ajay Adebowale. Have a wonderful sporting day. Bye.
Bye.